Now, it's like they say, all good things come to an end. But Juventus' invincible run came to an end in very disappointing fashion. I'll be honest with you guys. I was actually excited for this game, especially after watching the first 5, 10, 15 minutes. It looked like Juve were ready for war. This is a ground, the Maradona Stadium. Their last 5 visits have ended in defeat. I know you guys saw what I saw in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes. Juventus, they were playing with some intensity. There was some fight. There was some aggression. You see the opportunity that Kenan Yildiz had. I feel like if he had just lifted his head and seen that the keeper was on the floor, just put it into the roof of the net. But you could see they were taking the game to Antonio Conte's Napoli. They took the 1-0 lead. Kolo Muani, I feel like it's so disappointing that Juventus have lost that I can't really sit down and sing his praise. But you could see Kolo Muani, he brought a different dimension to Juventus' attack. He was pressing from the front. I feel like his hold up of the ball was so good, especially for a guy that 9 times out of 10 was just isolated. Every time he got the ball, Coup Miners is not there. Don't worry, we will touch on Coup Miners for like what? The 50th time this season later on in the video. But I feel like every time the ball was fizzed into Kolo Muani, where he had his back to goal, his hold up was great. And you could see that hold up will bring a different side to Juventus once he builds a bit more chemistry with his teammates. But I feel like he got himself a very good goal. You could see he had that intuition, that anticipation just in the back of his head. Maybe, just maybe, this ball might fall to me in the penalty area. And then it was a lovely goal on the turn, on the volley. But here's the thing I don't understand. And I was watching that game like throughout the second half. And I was like, Juventus go in at half time 1-0 up. And I'm thinking, listen, momentum is on their side. They can already see the beating of this Antonio Conte team. Like, they could see the areas where they were getting most joy. This is a Juventus team that had a lot of weapons off the bench. The Juventus that came out in the second half, I don't know who they were. I'll be honest. Like, I was watching it and I was like, you know what? Maybe it's the first 5, 10 minutes. Like, the nerves are getting to them. Maybe they just need to get back into the groove of the game. No. Because the 10 minutes turned into 20 minutes. The 20 minutes turned into 30 minutes. The 30 minutes turned into 40 minutes. And then the referee blew the whistle because the 40 turned into 45. I couldn't believe what I was watching in that second half. I really couldn't. Because the blueprint was there. I'm sat watching the game and I was like, the blueprint is there. Like, I was watching Napoli that first half and I was like, I feel like these guys aren't on it. I feel like the pressure was going to them. They couldn't handle it. They couldn't play out of the back. They couldn't impose themselves. They offered zero threat. Lukaku, I hardly remember him having a single touch in the first half. Neres, I feel like he wasn't involved the whole game. McTominay, nowhere. Politano, nowhere. The Juventus that came out in the second half, I genuinely don't know who to blame. I really don't know. I'm just going to try to tell myself it's just a similar theme where throughout the season, I've seen Juventus go 1-0 up. And as soon as they go 1-0 up, they take their foot off the gas. They just sit back in their defensive shape and they invite pressure. And trust me, on some days, sitting back, trying to contain the opposition, you secure the 1-0 win. But when you're coming up against a team that's fighting for a league title, a team managed by Antonio Conte, a team that's going to give 100% and they're going to play till the final. So, and on top of that, let's not forget, they're playing at home. I couldn't believe what I saw in that second half. I really couldn't believe what I saw in that second half. We're talking what? 0 shots. 0 shots on target. 0 shots off target. Possession up until Napoli equalised, Juventus was sitting on 22% possession. Do you guys know how much 22% possession is? I really don't think people know how much 22% possession is. That means they hardly were getting touches of the ball. Those touches were in their own half just to clear the ball back into Napoli's half. I don't know if it was a matter of instructions. I don't know if it was a matter of the pressure really got to these players in the second half. If that is the case, then it's definitely a mentality issue at Juventus. That second half was pathetic. That is the best way to put it. Pathetic. They couldn't hold on to the ball. They couldn't string 3, 4, 5 passes. They looked leggy. Even like towards the end, I'm thinking, play with some intensity. Like, you're losing 2-1. Play with some intensity. There was zero intensity. I couldn't believe it. I'll be honest with you guys. The only reason why I couldn't believe it is because it's like it was a game of two halves. The blueprint was there in the first half. Take the game to Napoli. Play direct. Play on the front foot. Colani dropping deep. Bringing in his teammates. Pressing them from the front. Napoli, they push a lot of bodies forward. There were moments where Juventus were catching them out by surprise. Fair enough, it was poor decision making. But the blueprint was there. And that's where it's disappointing, because how can one half of good football, how can one half where you were on top in terms of possession, you were on top in terms of shots on goal, you were on top in terms of duel winning, you were the better team, how can a 15-minute break, a 15-minute half-time break put out the complete opposite in the second half? I didn't get it. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I was sat watching the second half, and I was like, I don't know who's to blame. Is it Motta's instructions? Is it the pressure getting to these players? Coup Miners. Here's the thing that I don't understand. Kenan Yildiz gets taken off 62nd, 63rd minute. Okay, Nico Gonzalez. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't see it. I don't. I really don't. Fair enough. He's been in and out of the picture. He's had injuries. We've all seen what he's done in the Fiorentina shirt. But even then, what he's done in the Fiorentina shirt, does it warrant a move to Juventus? I was just watching Nico Gonzalez today, and I was like, I don't know what this dude brings. Like, he's not the most dynamic. He is hardly a goal scoring threat. He doesn't get involved in the game. He really doesn't get involved in the game. But Coup Miners, this is the thing for me that I don't understand. And I'll be honest with you guys, I feel like Motta is definitely playing with fire the longer he keeps this guy in the starting 11. Because Kenan Yildiz gets taken off. Nico Gonzalez gets taken off. Colani gets taken off. Those are now the three attacking players in and around Coup Miners. Every single one of Juventus attackers gets taken off. But Coup Miners plays the whole 90 minutes. And I can comfortably say he was the worst player on the pitch. The purpose behind his signing was to be the playmaker, to be the connector, to be the architect in attack. The player that can find Kenan, that can find Nico, that can find Dusan, that can find Kolo Muani. He doesn't find anybody. He's one of the least decisive players I've seen. And I'm just sat telling myself, this can't be the same guy that I was watching last year under Gasperini. It can't be. When I was watching Coup Miners last year at Gasperini under Atalanta, whenever he got the ball, I was like, something's about to happen. Something is about to happen. And as wild as it may sound, he's probably looking like the best system player in the world. Because that's what he's looking like. You take him out of his system and he looks like he just looks shit. Okay? Let's not beat around the bush. He looks shit. The passing is off. Hardly shoots. Never gets into dangerous areas. His reading of the game is off. He lacks. He has no physicality. He has no physicality. He has no mobility. He has no acceleration. Reading of the game is poor. His weight of pass. Yet he plays in one of the most important areas of the pitch. You are the playmaker. You are the architect. When the ball gets to you, get it to the attacking players in the right space at the right time. And he doesn't do it, yet he continues to play 90 minute after 90 minute after 90 minute. And I've said this in so many reviews. The longer he stays on the pitch in this bad form, the more he hinders his teammates. Because that bad form is now rubbing on to all of the other players. And I just couldn't believe it. Like, I was sat watching the game and I was like, all right. He's going to get taken off now. He's going to get taken off now. I saw every attacker get subbed off besides him. And I'll be real, it's like the icing on the cake. When Juventus are trying to mount an attack in the dying minutes, guess who fouls Simeone? It was Coup Miners. And then the game was practically over. But listen, Motta, I feel like now there's going to be a lot of eyes on him because he's now got a fully fit squad. Now he can try out his players. He can rotate. He can finally find his best starting 11. And I just look at it and I'm like, I don't see a space for Coup Miners in the best starting 11. I really, really, really don't. And I feel like Motta has stuck by him. He's put his arm across his shoulder and he's told him, listen, I'm going to stick by you. Even though you're dropping zeros out of 10, I got your back. I got your back. I'm going to stick by you. But you see now, it's just hindering the team. And the Invincible run is over. Not as much as, I've always said, the Invincible run, there were positives and there were negatives to it. But you know where it's disappointing? Even if Juventus had drawn that game, I wouldn't have come out and said, guess what? The Invincible run is still on. But I would have been like, you know what? Juventus came up against a team that's competing for the Scudetto, a team that's looked very dominant this year, a team that plays one game a week, so they've got time to recover, they've got time to recharge their batteries. It's a team with a lot of penetrative, good players. They came up against a team like that at a stadium that they've lost at the Maradona Stadium the last 5 times. They've been there. And I was like, even though they drew, you could see they could go toe-to-toe with an Antonio Conte Napoli. It's just disappointing because they didn't even go toe-to-toe with them in the first half. They completely outplayed them. They were the completely better team. And then in the second half, they just sat back and they told Napoli, do what you do best. Keep piling pressure. Napoli scored 2 goals. And then that's when I felt like Juventus fell into Napoli's trap. Because trust me, the one thing Napoli have shown this season is when they have a lead, they're one of the best teams at seeing out games. And that is a fact. They are one of the best teams. You could see it in the dying minutes. The time wasting. Players playing for fouls, rolling on the floor. How many minutes were wasted? But I feel like Juventus just fell into that trap because of just sheer naivety. Like it was just incompetence. It was just poor instructions. Nerves got to them. But listen, it is what it is. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to let me know what you think. And I'll catch you guys on another one.